Hi, welcome to Chapter 8 on the C++ standard string class. So in order to use the standard string class, which keep in mind they are still stored as character arrays, but there are some features to make it very helpful, you include string. You pound include string. We have already been doing that. We also need to use standard namespaces. So there are things that are very helpful. You can now use the assignment operator to assign one string to another instead of having to use string copy. You can also add strings together by using the plus overloaded plus sign. So you can add strings together like S1 equals S1 plus S2, or you could say S3 equals S1 plus S2. And this is a much easier than having to use the function string cat. The default constructor for strings, which is when as soon as you declare a string, since it's a string class, there is a default constructor that allows you to assign your strings to your class a couple of different ways. The first way is you can just declare a string and name it, and it will automatically be initialized to the empty string, so you don't have to assign the empty string. An empty string is just the null character at index 0. C++ strings are still character arrays. The second way to initialize a string is to assign a value to it. Now, one thing you can do with C++ strings is you do not need to use string copy to later assign strings. You can assign one string to another using the assignment operator right here. So this you can use instead of using string copy, and this you can use instead of using string cat. So the second way to initialize a string is to put the name of the string in parentheses. Both of these two statements do exactly the same thing. They declare and initialize strings. Only the word 3 is initialized to every, and word 2 is initialized to every day. Sometimes you're going to have to use C strings, so that's why I did a whole 30-minute video explaining C strings. There are many things that you can do with C++ strings, but there are some things, so you still should understand how C strings work. Keep in mind that C++ came after C, so you can use C strings whenever you want in your C++ program. Now, Getline allows you to read in white space. There are two ways to read in white space. The first one, this is the C++ method to use Getline, where it takes two arguments, which is cin and the name of the string. The C string style way to use Getline is indicated right here. We've already been through this. If you just use cin to read in a string, it will ignore white space. So you must use, if you do not want to ignore if you do want to have white space when you read in a string, you must use Getline. You cannot use just plain cin. If you want to say to ignore white space, here is a way to ignore white space. And here is how you read in another example. So this code example for Getline is in this Chapter 8 section called Chapter 8 Getline. All right, so when you're processing your strings, you can use them just like arrays. So you can search through them character by character to find certain characters. You can go through character by character to change them to upper and lower case. You can get the indexes. It is an array. It's just that some features in the C++ string class have been done to make things easier for you. It will also increase its capacity, which is a very nice feature, so you don't have to worry about the size of the string. But you still need to go, if you want to change it to uppercase letters, you still need to make sure that you go character by character, changing it to uppercase letters. So you would still have to use the toUpper function to change, and a loop to change character by character. But you will notice here that instead of using string length to get the length of a string, you use a member function called length. So the thing to remember is the string is a class. So once you declare string S1, you have to access the member functions by using the dot operator. So there are member functions that are available. One of those member functions that's available is the length function. So instead of using a string length function and passing the string to get the length, you use the length member function with the dot operator, and that will return the length. Another function that can be used in the C class is at. The nice thing about using at is that it will check to make sure that you are not out of range of the size of the string. So if you do it the old way, which you certainly can because it is a character array, you can just use the two upper, pass the character in the string, and change it to uppercase. But if you use the member function at, it will check to make sure that it is not gone out of the range of the array. Create new strings. All right, so here is an example that you can use. So I think I'm going to have to draw a picture of this, but I will go over it. So a string is a bunch of characters, and it is a character array, which means it is a pointer. So this right here, when you have an ampersand in front of the name of your string, this one is starting at location 1. So you are going to start, so when you put an ampersand in front of your string, you're not starting at the beginning if you have a number here. So maybe it's easier to understand here. This starts at index 1. So right here, you're not starting, if the word is everyday, you're not starting at index 0. Starting at index 0 would just be S1. Starting at index 1 would be address of S1 at index 1, which would be very day. If I put a 2 here, it would be airy day. If you put, so depending on where you want to start in your string, you can access it as a string by putting the ampersand there. There's another member function called erase, and erase will remove from a location. So this starts at index 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because the word is very day, and how many characters you want removed. So another member function in the C++ class is erase. And this is adding, this is saying word equals word plus good. So you can add and by concatenating string variables together or literal strings onto the end of other strings. And notice here that it has a white space because white space is also a character. All right, so this is just again, this is just a overview of these member functions I just talked about. You have a length member function, an erase member function, and an at member function. And this section here is on converting from C strings to strings. Now what you've noticed here is I've declared a C string, which is a character array called this. I didn't put the size here, but if you don't put the size, it will automatically get assigned a size. This is a string. This is declaring a string variable and assigning it. This is also a string. Now I have a character array, C string, and another string. So it is okay to assign to a string. This is a string right here. So this is a string. I'm going to make the string yellow. So this is a string, and this is a string. So it is okay to assign a character array to a string because a string is capable of accepting character arrays or strings with the assignment operator. It is not okay to assign a string to a character array. You would have to use string copy in order to do that. So right here, you have to use string copy. So right here, this right here is not okay, and it requires string copy. And you will notice something here that's very interesting is another member variable called cstring. So what's happening here is you're taking your s variable, which is a string, and changing it to you're taking your s variable, which is a string variable, changing it and converting it to a C string before you are, I don't like that pink there. Oh, I don't know how to get rid of it. There we go. All right, let's get rid of that pink. Okay, so you're taking your string variable, and this is another member function called .cstring. You're converting your string variable to a C string and then copying it into your C string. So this is a very important little information here on the difference between a C string and a string variable. So this is just a table of some of the different string member functions. And now let's take a look at our string code. So I've gone ahead and I've given you two I gave you C string and C++ string code. And then I have the code from the last video. So I wanted to show you the difference here, and you can take a look at it. When you want to pass a string to a function, you pass the string. I'm passing it by reference, so I don't have to make a copy of it. And this is also passing by reference automatically, but in strings you can pass by copy or pass by reference. And the way that I'm going to display it, let's take a look here in the C string display. If you guys remember, in the C string display, I used, it's not just displaying, it's also getting the length, so you can see the difference. Here I use the string length to get the length of the string, and then you can just use cout to display the string, just like you can the character array, just like you can a string. In the C++ style, I have here, I use the s1.length, I use the member function length instead of using strlen. So you can see the difference when you are displaying with a C string and getting the length of the string. You do not use string length, you use the member function length. Oh, all right. So this, I created a new string. I'm going to put this into a PowerPoint and draw a picture and explain that much better, both with the C style string and the string class. To make upper, the only thing is that here you have to do it character by character. So you can use that at member function. You can use the at member function to make sure that you stay in the range of the array that's in the notes. And here I am, what am I doing in my create new string? I'm going to show you that. And here, instead of using string cat, so this, in order to take word 2 and add word 3 onto the end of it and assign it to word 5, that would require me to strcat onto word 2, word 3, and then I would take word 2 and so here, word 2 is every. So word 2 is every. Let me just put that here. Word 2 is every. And word 3 is 1. All right, so here I have word 2 is every and word 3 is 1. So in C++, I can take word 2, which is every, add word 3 onto the end, which is everyone, and take that word everyone and assign it to word 5. In the C string way, I would have to take word 2 and add word 3 onto the end of it. So then word 2 would start as, oh no, that would modify word 2. So actually, I have to take word 5 and add word 2 onto it. So if I took word 5 and added word 2 onto it, then word 5 would be every. And then I take word 5 and add word 3 onto it. So then word 5 would be everyone. So this does the same thing as this, and you can see how much easier it is with C++. And the other last thing is that the C string way to do this, you would have to use string copy. All right, so I think after this now I'm going to go in and make some PowerPoints and explain the two different create new strings and draw some pictures, and hopefully you guys will take this code and practice.